Imagine a house. Not just any house, but one that seems to breathe, maybe. To watch, definitely. To hold darkness within its very walls.
Yeah, a place so profoundly wrong it feels like it was, like you said, born bad.
Exactly. Now, what if I told you there wasn't just one such house whispering secrets and holding despair, but two? Two completely distinct, chilling narratives separated by decades yet.
Wow. They share a name and a profoundly unsettling nature.
It's a really captivating thought, isn't it? Almost as if the very essence of malevolence found a singular architectural form and then echoed its dark design across time, reaching out, across the literary landscape. This isn't just about a haunted house, it's about a haunting concept.
You've really hit on something crucial there. Today, we're taking a deep dive into precisely that. Two terrifying versions of a place known as Hill House.
Our mission in this deep dive is to unpack the uncanny, the chilling similarities in their descriptions of these houses, their insidious psychological impact on the unfortunate souls who inhabit them, and the strange phenomena experienced within their walls.
Yeah, the weirdness.
We're drawing from Shirley Jackson's seminal classic, The Haunting of Hill House, which is, foundational text in literary horror, right?
Oh, absolutely. Can't overstate its importance.
And Elizabeth Hand's more contemporary work, A Haunting on the Hill.
And we're going to show you how these seemingly separate stories are actually deeply intertwined. It's almost as if the same malevolent spirit inspired both authors, decades apart. Hand's novel especially reads almost like a direct conversation with Jackson's original, exploring how a place can carry its history and its inherent evil forward, adapting and manifesting for new generations. It's a really fascinating study in literary echo and, architectural malevolence.
So if you've ever felt an inexplicable chill in an old building or, been drawn to stories of the supernatural that also delve deeply into the human mind and its fragility, then this deep dive is absolutely for you.
Definitely.
We'll reveal how these two incredible authors tapped into the same primal fears and the architectural malevolence we mentioned, creating this legacy of dread that just transcends time. It really asks, what makes a house evil? Is it born that way or
does it become that way?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the core question.
Okay, let's unpack this by starting with the people who are drawn into Hill House's orbit. Our journey into the shared nightmare begins with the protagonists themselves, Eleanor Vance and Holly Sherwin.
Right.
They both embark on journeys with very different personal motivations, yet they are drawn somehow to the same singular, unsettling destination, Hill House. It's almost as if the house itself calls to those who are seeking a profound, maybe even desperate change.
And what's fascinating here is how their motivations, despite being distinct on the surface, share this common thread of escape and a yearning for transformation.
Yeah.
Take Holly Sherwin. In Elizabeth Hand's A Haunting on the Hill. She's a playwright, right? Looking for retreat. She's working on a new piece called Witching Night, which is about Elizabeth Sawyer, a historical figure accused of witchcraft.
Okay.
So this isn't just a work trip for Holly. She sees it as a massive chance for a new career, a few months of freedom bought by a grant she got. She arrives with this real sense of hopeful anticipation, actually believing that wonderful things were about to happen.
Wow, hopeful. That's optimistic for Hill House.
Well, exactly. Her internal monologue reveals this deep desire for self-reinvention. She's thinking about being in a new place, perhaps, and out of New York City after such a long time, and feeling that after all those years of teaching, autumn again felt like possibility, a chance to be someone else. She's actively pursuing a new identity, a blank slate, basically.
And Hill House seems like the ideal canvas for that in her mind.
Yeah, or so she thinks.
And you can really sense that almost like giddy desperation for a fresh start. It's not just a career move. It feels existential, She wants to shed her old skin.
Right.
Now, contrast that with Eleanor Vance from Shirley Jackson's original The Haunting of Hill House. Eleanor is arguably even more desperate, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely.
She's escaping a deeply stagnant life, this suffocating home environment where she was caring for her invalid mother for years. And now she's leaving behind a situation where her sister and her brother-in-law might be stirring with the first faint proddings of suspicion.
Right, about the car.
Yeah, probably about her taking their car for this trip. So she views her journey as a passage of moments, each one new, carrying her along with them, taking her down a path of incredible novelty to a new place. There's a real psychological vulnerability there, a craving for self-reliance after a lifetime of, servitude.
Absolutely. You can feel her almost triumphant sense of liberation on the drive there. She thinks, no one, she thought, can catch me now. They don't even know which way I'm going.
Yeah.
And that declaration, everything is different. I am a new person, very far from home. So both women then arrive at Hill House with this really potent mix of hope for a new beginning and this underlying, almost unconscious unease about what that transformation might actually entail. They're both profoundly vulnerable, right? To a place that seems to promise solace, but ultimately delivers torment.
And the deep connection here is how Hill House across both narratives doesn't just exist. It seems to actively seek out and prey on those seeking a new path. It offers transformation, sure, but at an unimaginable, often deadly cost.
Yeah, it's like a predator that hunts for human desire, for that vulnerability.
And this sense of foreboding, this feeling of entering a different, maybe hostile realm, is amplified by their entry point. Both stories place Hill House near a town named Hillsdale.
Right, Hillsdale.
This shared geographical detail isn't just a coincidence, is it? It feels like a deliberate shared bad omen for their arrivals, immediately signaling that they're entering a place resistant to outsiders and perhaps already in decline, kind of a mirror to their own uncertain futures, maybe?
That's a great point, yeah. In Hand's novel, Hillsdale is explicitly painted as this picture of utter desolation and unwelcoming resistance. Holly's friend, Giorgio, he dismisses it, right? Flicking his fingers as though Hillsdale were a mosquito buzzing by, just calls it a dump.
Charming.
And Teresa, another friend, notes, that whole town's been depressed for as long as we've been coming here. And she highlights the local sentiment that they really, really hate outsiders.
Wow.
It's a place where even the dollar store is closed, with chunks of blacktop and frost heaves and bug-pocked siding. It's just a town dying on the vine, basically, hostile to any perceived influx of novelty or change from the outside. It's almost like a protective barrier, maybe, warning people away from the more profound decay beyond.
It's a very stark image, isn't it? A place that time has not only forgotten, but actively resents the memory of.
Yeah.
In Jackson's narrative, Eleanor's encounter with Hillsdale is subtler, maybe, but just as poignant in its symbolic weight. She plans to stop there for coffee, thinking, it's my last chance before the journey's end.
That last chance.
Right. That thought itself hints at a boundary, a psychological point of no return. It's her last opportunity for a mundane comfort, a final anchor to the normal world before she fully commits to the unknown that Hill House represents.
Yeah, like the last outpost of normal.
Exactly. The journey to Hillsdale isn't just a physical stop. It feels like crossing into a different psychological realm, a final hesitant step before entering the extraordinary and, well, the unsettling.
So Hillsdale acts as this liminal space, right? A gateway to the extraordinary, yet paradoxically, a symbol of decline and resistance to external influence. Its unwelcoming nature immediately signals that the journey to Hill House isn't just a change of scenery, but a descent into an unwelcoming, perhaps dangerous environment.
A place that rejects the outside world, forcing its visitors to confront isolation head-on.
And what's truly compelling is how both authors use this geographical detail to sort of preemptively establish the sense of unease and foreboding before the protagonists even lay eyes on the actual house. It's clever setup.
And that isolation, that sense of otherness, is totally solidified in their very first glimpses of the house itself. The initial visual encounters with Hill House in both narratives are strikingly similar, conveying this immediate sense of the house being profoundly wrong, maybe even malevolent right from the first sight.
Not just old, but wrong.
Exactly. This isn't just a dilapidated building, it's something actively hostile.
In Hand's novel, Holly's first impression of the mansion is deeply unsettling. She describes the mansion appearing to recede, then move closer, like waves overtaking a beach.
Whoa.
Yeah. This immediate distortion of perception, the house refusing to remain fixed, is just a brilliant touch. She even questions its color, had it been gray, or an unearthly glowing white. This sensory unreliability kicks in immediately.
So it's already messing with her.
Totally. And while her initial revulsion, that feeling that the house held some subcutaneous wrongness, like cancerous cells manifesting in the body years before detection, had disappeared, by the time she gets closer, that seed of unease is firmly planted. The house is already subtly messing with her mind, disorienting her perceptions even before she steps inside.
Wow, like cancerous cells manifesting. That's a chilling simile. It's not just a physical perception, it's this deep, intuitive sense of something fundamentally corrupt.
Right.
In Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House, Eleanor's first impression is even more direct and visceral. She shivers, and the words, "the house was vile," just come freely into her mind. She thinks, Hill House is vile, it is diseased, get away from here at once.
Just bam, instant rejection.
Yeah, and Jackson masterfully describes it as having no human eye able to isolate the unhappy coincidence of line and place which suggests evil in the face of a house, a maniac juxtaposition, a badly turned angle, some chance meeting of roof and sky turned Hill House into a place of despair.
Maniac juxtaposition.
Yeah.
That's such a powerful phrase. It's like the geometry itself is wrong, hostile.
Exactly. It's almost as if the house's very design is inherently flawed, designed to inspire madness or despair.
So both protagonists immediately sense the house's inherent malevolence, right? Not just as a rundown building, but as something fundamentally diseased or wrong. This isn't just a building. It's a character in itself, actively projecting its negativity and setting the stage for all the psychological and supernatural stuff that follows.
The profound connection here is how both authors establish the house as this living, breathing entity from the very first glance, almost as if it's glaring back at them, not welcoming them, but judging them, maybe planning something.
Yeah, it's a statement that Hill House is not merely a setting, but a primary antagonist.
Yeah.
Right from the start.
And when we talk about Hill House, we really are talking about a living, breathing, malevolent entity, which leads us perfectly into its very architecture, because in both stories, it's described as inherently flawed or actively designed to disorient and oppress. It's truly a house that feels born bad right down to its foundations.
Jackson's description of Hill House is just a masterpiece of architectural horror, isn't it? Turning structural elements into psychological weapons. She calls it a masterpiece of architectural misdirection, even likens it to a crazy house at the carnival.
Yeah, that fun house feel, but terrifying.
Exactly. It's depicted as having a watchfulness from the blank windows and a touch of glee in the eyebrow of a cornice. That personification is so key, the house isn't just watched, it watches back.
R.I.P.
The house is described as arrogant and hating, never off guard, can only be evil. Rooms are designed with clashing disharmony, and Eleanor struggles with its complex layout, noting that from certain windows, the front door and tower are unseeable. You can't get your bearings.
Disorienting by design.
And there's even a tilting spiral stairway that defies geometry. It's explicitly stated. It was a house without kindness, never meant to be lived in, not a fit place for people or for love or for hope. It's a structure built to deny human comfort or sanity. Point blank.
That line, a house without kindness, truly encapsulates the essence of its malevolence. It feels like the builders, or maybe the house itself, deliberately intended to create discomfort, this perpetual sense of unease.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth Hand picks up on the same idea in her contemporary version, but with maybe a slightly different spin. Holly notes its Victorian Gothic style, but struggles to identify what exactly is wrong, wondering, was the design itself flawed, not quite Gothic enough, or maybe they'd cut corners when it was built? It's this architectural dissonance. She specifically mentions a granite tower that had begun to pull away from the main structure and was repaired with rebars binding it to the front of the house like a severed arm.
Oof, yeah, that image is so visceral. A house physically falling apart, yet bound to itself with these almost painful medical-grade repairs, like it's wounded but won't die.
Right, and the house's corridors and rooms are described chillingly as being like the aimless tunnels made by worms in the dirt, suggesting this chaotic, organic, almost parasitic growth, rather than a logical human design.
And what's fascinating is the consistent motif of a peculiar, maybe dangerous tower or turret in both descriptions.
Yeah, the tower keeps coming up.
In Hand's version, the spire's liability is noted, and the difficulty of accessing its uppermost shelves, almost as if the house has parts of itself it doesn't want accessed or can't access itself properly anymore. This architectural oddity, designed not for human comfort but for disorientation and disquiet, is a really powerful shared element.
So both houses twist perception and create this oppressive, unnatural environment, almost actively rejecting human habitation from their very blueprints.
The profound connection lies in how both authors create architecture that isn't just a backdrop, but an active participant in the horror. Literally built, it seems, to drive its inhabitants mad.
And this inherent wrongness manifests not just structurally, but through the senses. Both versions of Hill House assault their inhabitants with distinct sensory phenomena, particularly these inexplicable cold spots and pervasive, unpleasant smells.
Yeah, the sensory stuff is key.
These aren't just atmospheric details. They feel like physical manifestations of the house's malevolence.
In Hand's novel, Holly notes a foul underlying odor, which she tries to rationalize, right? Speculating it might be a dead mouse beneath the floorboards, but something bigger like a squirrel or raccoon. But the fact that it persists, despite cleaning efforts, hints at a deeper systemic issue, something rotten within. Later, Stevie describes a room feeling like walking into a freezer where only the doorway is cold and this wall of ice dissolves when stepped through. It's a very precise, invasive physical sensation of extreme, unnatural cold that just assaults you the moment you cross a threshold.
That wall of ice is such a direct and chilling parallel to Jackson's work, isn't it? Almost an exact copy of the sensory experience.
It really is stark.
Eleanor, in The Haunting of Hill House, experiences a piercing cold that struck her between one step and the next. It was like passing through a wall of ice. This isn't just a draft. It's an invisible, tangible barrier of unnatural cold.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Montague famously complains of smelling dust all night and being in a room not properly aired. But the house itself, Jackson writes, smells of cleaning the air, implying something so profoundly putrid or unpleasant that it needs constant purging. A deep, pervasive decay that can't be washed away, only maybe momentarily masked.
These aren't just background details. They are active elements of the house's haunting. That shared experience of a wall of ice is a particularly strong parallel, suggesting a consistent, physically disruptive phenomenon across both iterations of Hill House. It's like a signature move of the house, indicating its pervasive reach. And the smells contribute to the feeling of decay and neglect, hinting at deeper, unaddressed issues within the very fabric of the house, almost as if the house itself is rotting from some kind of spiritual disease. The connection is profound. The malevolence of Hill House is so potent, it literally changes the very atmosphere, making itself known through undeniable sensory assault, a direct physical violation of the human space.
And this leads us to the next horrifying connection, which is arguably the most important one. Beyond just physical effects, both houses are depicted as possessing a conscious, malevolent, and even controlling will.
The sentient house.
Exactly. The house isn't just haunted, it's the haunter. It's a sentient entity.
In Hands a Haunting on the Hill, Holly explicitly notes, "It knows we're here. You feel it, right?" Stevie expresses a similar chilling sentiment, declaring, "It hates us, but it also wants us here. It wants us here because it..." And his sentence breaks off, right? But the implication is crystal clear. The house is a conscious being with intentions.
Yeah, it wants something.
It seems to manipulate events directly, like doors closing on their own or trapping characters, almost playing this cruel game. It's an active, predatory force that doesn't just react, but instigates.
That's terrifying, isn't it? It's not just a place where things happen, but a place that makes things happen. It dictates the terms.
Yeah.
And Jackson's Hill House has this exact same reputation for insistent hospitality. It seemingly dislikes letting its guests get away. This is the core of its horror. It chooses you. It wants you to stay.
Right. It's described as arrogant and hating, never off guard. Doors close on their own, and furniture even moves back into place as if the house is asserting its control or preferences, tidying up after itself, ensuring everything is just so for its long-term residents or prisoners.
Yeah, prisoners feels more accurate.
This portrayal elevates the house from a mere setting to an active antagonist, a sentient trap. The common theme is this living, breathing entity that toys with its inhabitants, deciding who stays, who leaves, and how. The idea of the house choosing its occupants is central to both narratives' escalating horror.
It's not just a backdrop for dread. It is the dread.
Exactly. This deep connection between the two stories isn't just about the houses sharing a name. It's about them sharing a fundamental, conscious evil that is actively designed to ensnare and torment. It's the unsettling realization that you are not just in a building, but within a conscious, malevolent will that has already made its decision about you.
Okay, building on that chilling idea of a sentient house, both narratives fill their spaces with these inexplicable noises, creating an auditory landscape of dread. We're talking about mysterious sounds and voices that often seem directed at the characters or occur at moments of heightened emotional tension, really driving home the psychological torment.
In Hand's account, Holly hears very soft murmuring. Words, though I couldn't understand them. There were two voices, one deeper than the other, like water being sucked down a clogged drain. Ugh! The other voice was quieter but even more repellent, at once throaty and sibilant.
Just the description is repulsive.
It evokes this primal disgust, right? Something utterly unnatural. She even hears sounds like coughing or choking, but I knew it was neither. It was laughter. A grotesque, mocking sound.
Oh, that's horrible.
Later, there are inexplicable booms that rang out like an explosion, which Stevie, the sound guy, records, theorizing it's like a hole for the voices to enter. This suggests a tear in reality, maybe. A portal through sound.
A hole for the voices to enter. That's a fantastic modern twist on the unseen, isn't it? Implying that the very architecture of the house has been compromised or was built to allow these malevolent sounds in.
Yeah, like the sound itself is breaching the walls.
In Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House, Eleanor notes the house's unsettling silence upon arrival, but the silence is quickly broken. She later hears faint murmurs, words behind the words that were being sung, a horrifying duality of sound, a message hidden within plain noise.
Like subliminal haunting.
Kind of. And Mrs. Montague and Arthur, in their attempts to communicate, use a planchette, right? Which produces meaningless answers according to the doctor, but names like Helen or Helene and the word mother do appear, suggesting a direct, albeit maybe vague, communication.
Trying to break through.
Arthur also complains of a branch tapping against my window all night nearly drove me crazy, a seemingly mundane sound that, in the context of Hill House, becomes this instrument of torment.
These auditory phenomena are a primary way the houses assert their presence, directly impacting the character's sanity. The transition from subtle whispers to violent booms in both narratives suggests an escalating malevolence. A house that starts with psychological whispers and ends with, well, physical assaults through sound. Stevie's recording, capturing a hole for the voices to enter, provides that modern technological twist to Jackson's older, more ambiguously perceived sounds, indicating a consistent, escalating pattern of the house communicating its hostile, invasive presence. The profound connection is how both authors use sound, both subtle and violent, to chip away at the character's composure, making the unseen tangible through the ears.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting for me, a detail that feels almost like a direct wink across the decades, as if the authors were communing through time or something.
Okay.
A recurring motif in both stories is the appearance of a black hare or rabbit, often associated with the house's uncanny nature and potentially serving as a familiar or symbol of the supernatural. This is such a specific and unusual choice for a recurring symbol.
It truly is. A black hare or rabbit. In Hand's novel, a black hare is seen near the trailer and again on the veranda. But it gets weirder. One raised itself onto its hind legs, and then it kept rising, until it seemed like it might snap like a piece of silly putty stretched too far.
What? That's bizarre.
Totally bizarre. And it has unblinking eyes the color of a new penny. So this isn't just a rabbit. It's this grotesque, shape-shifting entity.
Definitely not Peter Cottontail.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Nisa, one of the characters, she even sings Hares on the Mountain and explicitly connects hares to witches, noting hares were once associated with witches the same way cats are now. And the symbolism becomes even more explicit when a black hare later comes down the chimney.
Down the chimney.
Yeah, and is referred to as a familiar, a spirit, often in animal form, serving a witch. It's a direct link to ancient folklore and witchcraft.
Wow, a familiar, that's a bold, explicit connection to the supernatural and those historical fears of witchcraft.
Right.
In Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House, the detail is much subtler, almost a fleeting glimpse, but it's still there. Theodora and Eleanor observe something unseen move slowly across the bright green hill, which Theodora identifies as a rabbit. It's ambiguous, unsettling.
That something unseen part is key.
Yeah. Later, an animal, a rabbit, moved through the bushes by the summer house. That question mark after rabbit hints at uncertainty, right? At something not quite right about the animal. It's an almost spectral presence, an unsettling natural element, twisted by the house's influence.
This specific animal appearing in both narratives is just a remarkable shared detail that really highlights the deliberate connections between the two texts. In Hand's story, it explicitly takes on that more terrifying shape-shifting quality and is directly linked to witchcraft themes, building on the subtle, unsettling presence in Jackson's work.
Yeah, it's like Hand saw the hint and ran with it.
Exactly. The shared motif suggests a consistent mascot for the haunted house, maybe hinting at older, folklore-based connections that transcend the mere architectural. It's a symbolic thread tying the two versions of Hill House together through a shared, unsettling animal presence. A consistent, unnerving signature of the malevolence that resides within these walls. The way Hand elaborates on Jackson's subtle hint transforms it into this overt symbol of the house's ancient, dark power.
Okay, so beyond the physical and auditory assaults and these creepy animal symbols, both hill houses actively prey on their inhabitants' minds, blurring the line between subjective experience and objective reality.
Psychological warfare.
This leads to paranoia, altered perceptions, and this terrifying sense of being chosen or possessed by the house. It's the slippery grip of reality where sanity is just slowly, methodically eroded.
In Hand's novel, this psychological erosion is palpable. Holly questions her own perceptions constantly of the house, of a spinning figure she sees in the woods, desperately trying to rationalize the inexplicable. She feels a smothering weight and an inexplicable terror that aren't tied to any physical threat.
It's all internal.
Pretty much. Nisa has visions of a woman running through the forest, like she was being hunted, blurring the lines between past and present, internal and external. Stevie experiences this intense, almost irresistible desire to enter the secret door's bright tunnel he finds, highlighting the house's seductive power over vulnerable minds.
Like a siren call.
Kind of. Amanda, too, questions what she saw and heard, the house feeding on their doubts. It's explicitly stated that the house does bring something out in us, suggesting it amplifies or distorts latent aspects of their personalities, turning their inner demons into external realities.
And that's so similar to what happens in Jackson's classic, where Eleanor's psychological unraveling is really the heart of the horror, isn't it?
Absolutely central.
Her increasing identification with the house is key, expressed through her self-talk. I am Eleanor, who belongs. This isn't just a statement of belonging, it feels like a statement of possession.
Yeah, belongs to the house almost.
Right, she feels chosen by the house, selected for this special, terrifying purpose, and eventually starts writing messages on the wall like, "Help Eleanor come home," which is just heartbreaking, a cry for rescue from herself maybe, or from the house's influence.
It's so tragic.
The doctor in her story warns against embracing Hill House's perils with a sisterly embrace, knowing the danger of its seductive nature. And then Eleanor ultimately proclaims, "Hill House belongs to me," a horrifying merger of identity with the house itself, a terrifying acceptance of her fate.
The psychological torment is a definite hallmark of both stories. The house targets the most vulnerable, drawing them into its orbit until their identity merges with its own, becoming indistinguishable from its will. The phrase chosen or selected is implicit in both, leading to either possession or ultimate destruction and the insidious erosion of individual agency.
Yeah.
This isn't just about ghosts making noises. It's about the house manipulating the minds of its inhabitants, eroding their sense of self, isolating them, and leading them down this path of increasing delusion and ultimate demise. It's the ultimate insidious connection between these two tales, showing how both authors understand that true horror lies not just in what jumps out at you, but in what takes root inside your mind.
And this psychological manipulation often gets intertwined with the artistic pursuits of the characters, particularly in Hand's novel, where art becomes both a mirror and a medium for the house's influence. It's a really fascinating layer, as if the house feeds on creativity or twists it.
It's a brilliant way Hand deepens the connection, almost as if art becomes a conduit for the haunting. Holly's play, Witching Night, is a modern adaptation of the true story of Elizabeth Sawyer, remember? A woman accused of witchcraft and unfairly condemned. This play becomes a vehicle for exploring themes of condemnation, transformation, seeking justice, all mirrored by Holly's own life and the house's power. She even sees Hill House as the perfect stage for it, a place where the lines between performance and reality can just blur completely. The play isn't just about a witch. It's about Holly's own haunting, almost a meta-narrative playing out.
That makes sense. And Nisa, the musician, she weaves in child ballads, specifically gruesome murder ballads like Mattie Groves and Lambkin, believing it's the same source material as the house's dark history.
Yeah, tapping into that dark folk tradition.
And she feels her voice sounds better here than it ever has, almost as if the house itself is enhancing or maybe distorting her art, giving it a deeper, more primal resonance.
Or corrupting it.
Could be. Then there's Stevie, with his soundscapes looping and distorting everything on his laptop, trying to capture the house's essence in auditory form. He collects creepy theaters and longs to disappear inside it or to live inside one of his toy theaters, an innocent desire perhaps warped by the house into an urge for literal escape from reality into a miniature-controlled world.
And Amanda, the actress, she has her own chilling philosophy. Actors, we channel the spirits. What do you think acting is? Bringing the dead to life.
Ooh, that's direct.
Yeah. She views Elizabeth Sawyer as a second chance at a Medea-like role, a character consumed by rage and vengeance. This directly links the artistic process to channeling and possession, making the creative act a conduit for the house's influence, almost inviting it in.
Okay, so art is a doorway.
And in Jackson's narrative, while it's less overt, Hugh Crane's scrapbook filled with disturbing illustrations like a Goya etching, which Eleanor notes is a horrible thing for a little girl to meditate upon, and Fox's Martyrs, overlaid with his puritanical moralizing text, serves a similar purpose. It's a form of art that reflects the house's oppressive judgmental history, a grim testament to the founder's dark worldview that has seeped into the very walls.
So artistic expression serves as both a reflection of the house's dark influence and a potential conduit for it. The characters in Hand's story are literally performing the house's themes, almost enacting a ritual, while Jackson's Crane used art to express his oppressive worldview, leaving it as this legacy of psychological torment.
And the houses seem to respond to artistic endeavors, almost feeding off the creative energy or reflecting their own distorted narratives back through the art. The deep connection here is how art doesn't just happen in these houses. It becomes an active, dangerous part of their haunting, blurring the lines between performance, history, and malevolent reality.
This connection through art feels rooted in the weight of the past, doesn't it? Both Hill houses are steeped in tragic histories, particularly involving female suffering and unresolved conflicts, which seem to resonate into the present, effectively making the past an active participant in the present haunting, like a living wound that never heals.
Exactly. In Hand's novel, Holly's play directly draws on the historical Elizabeth Sawyer, a woman accused of witchcraft and unfairly condemned. This historical injustice becomes a lens through which Holly understands her own current predicament. But the weight of the past is also deeply personal for Holly. She carries immense guilt from Macy Lee Barton's suicide, remember, which stemmed from a literary dispute where Macy Lee accused Holly of stealing her story.
Right, that layer of personal guilt.
This personal history of unfair condemnation mirrors the historical tragedy of Elizabeth Sawyer and intertwines it with the house's malevolence. It's as if the house thrives on unresolved female trauma, feeding off the echoes of past injustices.
Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House presents an equally tragic and detailed history, this chain of suffering directly tied to the house. The founder, Hugh Crane, bills it for his family, but tragedy strikes immediately. His first wife dies on the driveway.
Right at the entrance. Ominous.
His second wife dies of a galloping consumption and is buried quickly, almost as if the house couldn't wait to be rid of her. Then the older sister, Miss Crane, dies in the house, leading to this bitter lawsuit over her companion's claim to the house.
And the companion.
The companion then tragically hangs herself from the tower after being hated to death. That's the phrase used by the younger sister's campaign of hatred.
Hated to death. That's incredibly stark, demonstrating the profound psychological and emotional violence that permeated the house, leading to a literal death.
It's a truly horrifying sequence of events, isn't it? A genealogy of suffering. The suffering of past female inhabitants, whether historically accused witches or victims of family cruelty and resentment, is just a palpable presence in both Hill houses. The houses become containers for this unresolved trauma, actively replaying or reenacting the bad blood of their past.
The idea of characters being hated to death or unfairly condemned is a really powerful thematic link, showing how the emotional violence of history is literally written into the fabric of these places, making the past a living, breathing force within their walls.
And this historical weight naturally leads us to the explicit and implicit themes of witches and their houses. The theme of witchcraft and its societal implications emerges in both narratives, though much more overtly in Hand has, connecting historical accusations with the characters' contemporary experiences, drawing this chilling line from past persecution to present psychological torment.
Hand's novel, as we mentioned, has Witching Night as the centerpiece, focusing on Elizabeth Sawyer, but goes further. The local women Ainsley, Melissa, Evadne are explicitly linked to witchcraft by Amanda, who just states they're witches. Real witches. Like I said, this is where they meet their coven or whatever.
Whoa, so present-day witches.
Yeah, this introduces an active, contemporary element of magic and folk belief. Evadne's gazing ball is described as a witch ball used for scrying and protection, and she even smokes a cigarette that smells like sage, only acrid, further cementing their connection to ancient practices. It's very direct, suggesting this unseen, powerful community living alongside and perhaps contending with Hill House.
While Jackson's narrative isn't explicit about witchcraft, the historical context of Eleanor's chosen status, her profound isolation, and the psychological torment she undergoes Well, you can read that as powerful echoes of how women accused of witchcraft were historically isolated, condemned, and tormented, right?
Absolutely. The oppressive, almost suffocating atmosphere of Jackson's house subtly mirrors the systematic persecution of women. And this connection is underscored in Hand's story, where Stevie and Amanda directly quote the Malleus Maleficarum, Hammer of Witches.
Wow, they quote the actual book.
Yeah, the historical text used to justify witch hunts, bringing that historical cruelty into sharp focus in the context of Hill House. It's a powerful literary decision that links the house's evil to a broader historical malevolence against women.
This theme really highlights how historical anxieties about female power and transgression are woven into the very fabric of the house's hauntings. The witches of the present in Hand's story, like Evadne and Melissa, maybe they're protectors trying to keep others from the house's malevolence.
Or maybe figures who understand its true nature in a way the outsiders do not. Evadne explicitly tells Holly that Melissa said that she and Evadne keep an eye on Hill House because it's not safe.
A warning from the locals.
This elevates the hauntings beyond simple ghosts to a more systemic, culturally resonant evil, making both Hill Houses not just places of individual horror, but sites of historical and societal trauma. Places where the past is not just remembered, but actively relived. It's a fascinating way these stories echo and build upon each other, showing the enduring power of these themes.
So, after all the architectural malevolence, the sensory assaults, the psychological unraveling, and the weight of history, both stories culminate in this dramatic, tragic confrontation with the house's power, resulting in a character's demise or disappearance. It's the inevitable, chilling climax where the house finally claims its due.
In Hand's novel, the climax is terrifying and ambiguous, leaving us with this profound sense of loss and unanswered questions. Nisa, drawn by the house's allure and that mysterious tunnel behind a secret door in Stevie's room, disappears into it. Literally becomes part of the grainy figures that appear in the nursery's black and oily fog.
She gets absorbed.
Yeah, it's not just a disappearance, it's an absorption, a literal consumption into the fabric of the house. Holly, Stevie, and Amanda struggled to escape as the house roared, its walls moving in and out like a bellows, and blood trickling from the walls.
Oh my God.
It's a visceral, chaotic scene of the house physically manifesting its rage and consuming one of its victims, leaving an indelible, horrifying image.
That imagery of blood trickling from the walls and the house breathing like a bellows, that's truly horrifying, bringing the house's sentience to this violent peak. And it mirrors the fate of Eleanor in Jackson's original, though through a different, equally disturbing act of self-destruction spurred by the house. Under the house's intensifying influence, Eleanor drives away, feeling it belongs to me, that declaration of possession rather than ownership. She actively wills her car directly at the great tree at the curve of the driveway, resulting in her death.
And that chillingly echoes a previous death at the exact same spot mentioned in the house's history, right? Reinforcing the idea that the house dictates its own morbid patterns and demands repeated sacrifices.
Yeah, the pattern repeats.
Both Hill Houses are deadly. They lure and consume. Nisa's literal absorption into the house's phenomena and Eleanor's self-destructive act, both seemingly at the house's command, highlight the ultimate consequence of being chosen or claimed by Hill House. The ambiguous nature of Nisa's fate, officially a runaway, but understood by her friends as something far more sinister, mirrors the mysterious unsolved disappearance that in the meta-narrative always makes good box office.
Grim.
The houses demand a final sacrifice, a tragic end for those who succumb to their pervasive, insidious will. It's a chilling reminder that Hill House, in either iteration, always gets what it wants.
And after these horrific climaxes, there are no easy answers, are there? The truth of what happened remains elusive, leaving the survivors and us grappling with ambiguity and memory. It's the enduring mystery of Hill House, this terrifying void where explanations should be.
In Hand's aftermath, Nisa's disappearance is officially attributed to her simply running away. A mundane explanation for a supernatural horror. Holly, Stevie, and Amanda, bound by their shared unspeakable experience, never told anyone else what happened at Hill House. They carry the burden of the truth privately.
Wow.
Holly is haunted by dreams of Nisa singing Hares on the Mountain in a forest clearing. 3 fluid black shapes circle her, their dark forms gradually shimmering into columns of light. The supernatural is undeniable for them, an intimate, ongoing haunting, but utterly unprovable to the outside world. This individual torment continues long after the escape.
Similarly, in Jackson's aftermath, the doctor and others are left to ponder what happened to Eleanor. The official explanation for the previous death at the driveway tree was a horse bolting, right? A convenient, rationalized accident.
Right. Easy explanation.
Eleanor's motivations for driving into the tree are left for the reader to interpret. A blend of psychological breakdown and supernatural compulsion. Was it her own madness or the house's will? The ambiguity is agonizing, refusing a simple narrative closure. The house remains a riddle.
And this ambiguity is so crucial in both narratives. It underscores that the horror of Hill House is less about conventional ghosts and more about an unseen, indefinable force that manipulates perception and exploits vulnerability. The enduring power of the house lies in its refusal to be fully understood, leaving its victims and survivors with unresolved trauma and the unsettling knowledge that some places just defy rational explanation.
Yeah.
It is this lack of a definitive, concrete explanation that connects these two accounts so profoundly. Both authors understand that what we don't understand, what lingers just beyond our grasp, is far more terrifying than any easily defined specter.
So, what is the truth of Hill House then? The stories offer different yet complementary interpretations of what haunts it. Psychological distress, historical trauma, maybe an inherently evil entity. It's never just one thing, is it? The beauty and the horror lie in the layered possibilities.
Precisely. In Hand's novel, Stevie suggests the hair could be an empty vessel, a fetch, essentially a ghostly double or an apparition, often associated with a person's impending death or a supernatural messenger, a kind of premonition given form.
Okay.
Amanda believes Hill House is a thin place where you can access things you can't normally, a place where the veil between worlds is permeable, allowing for direct interaction with forces beyond comprehension. And the locals, like Evadne and Melissa, explicitly believe it's not safe, and they watch it knowing its malevolence not through academic study but through generations of lived experience and local lore.
And in Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House, Dr. Montague seeks psychic phenomena and believes there is a pattern to these things, hinting at a scientific, almost clinical approach to the supernatural. He explicitly states the house is unfit for human habitation for upwards of 20 years, a factual condemnation that implies a deep-seated, persistent evil.
Right, almost a biohazard warning.
Kind of, and Eleanor herself, in her final moments, embodies the house's power, becoming its will, proclaiming, "Hill House belongs to me." She becomes the agent of its malevolence, blurring the line between victim and perpetrator.
The lack of a single verifiable explanation for the hauntings is a shared characteristic that truly binds these two narratives. Both authors suggest this blend of environmental malevolence, profound psychological vulnerability, and perhaps truly supernatural factors. The idea that the house selects or chooses certain individuals to either torment or absorb is a profound and chilling common thread. It's never just a building. It's a sentient force that exploits, distorts, and ultimately consumes those who are vulnerable enough to be drawn into its orbit. The truth, maybe, is that Hill House is a unique, active evil, regardless of the era, capable of adapting its torment to the psychological landscape of its victims.
As we wrap up this deep dive into the two Hill Houses, the uncanny parallels between Elizabeth Hand's A Haunting on the Hill and Shirley Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House become startlingly clear, don't they? Proving that some horrors are timeless.
Absolutely. From the malevolent architecture explicitly designed for disorientation and psychological torment, to the chilling sensory assaults of inexplicable cold spots and foul odors that pervade the very air, and that shared, enigmatic motif of the black hare or rabbit that acts as an unsettling familiar of the house's dark nature. Both houses actively manipulate the minds of their inhabitants, blurring the lines of reality and driving them toward tragic fates, whether through internal collapse or external catastrophe.
The connections run deeper than mere homage, it feels like. Hand's novel serves as this powerful contemporary echo, almost a direct response to Jackson's original. It shows us how stories about truly unsettling places can transcend time, revisiting the same psychological and supernatural battlegrounds, updating them with new anxieties while honoring the old.
Well said.
The way artistic expression becomes a conduit for the house's dark influence, and how the weight of past female suffering, be it historical accusations of witchcraft or familial cruelty, resonates through the centuries, actively shaping the present haunting. That's a testament to the enduring power of these themes.
It's a testament to the enduring power of these narratives and their deep understanding of psychological horror. The houses, in both stories, are not just settings, but living antagonists that select and consume, leaving behind an enduring ambiguity. The lack of a concrete, singular explanation for the horrors is fundamental to their terror, emphasizing an indefinable force that defies easy understanding and continues to haunt long after the final page is turned.
So we're left with this chilling thought. If a house can be born bad designed for malevolence and attract similar tragedies across centuries, well, what does that say about the places we inhabit? What hidden histories might they hold lingering beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment and the right vulnerable soul to reveal themselves?
Yeah.
And what if these stories are not just fiction, but warnings urging us to question the very spaces we call home and the echoes of the past that might still reside, malevolent and patient, within their walls?
Because sometimes the scariest stories are the ones that hint at a truth just beyond our grasp.
Yeah.
A truth about the very nature of evil maybe baked into the wood and stone around us.
A truly unsettling thought to end on.